and maybe, Bret, it's Kennedy, you can answer this. So what does Kevin McCarthy do next? Because, you know, he has gone the entitlement route, saying he's earned the speakership, and then he went the tough guy route, saying, all right, I'm going to strip you of your committee chairs. And then he went into horse trading, promising various representatives various things for their various districts. What else does he have in his quiver? What does he do next?
He's running out of arrows. There aren't a lot of other things. And he could, the negotiation, it's simply about member to member, trying to get them, sway them. Every indication we have from McCarthy and his allies is that he is going to fight the long fight here and continue to try to hold his group together. At some point, it becomes untenable, but when that is, we don't know. Remember, you have to have the quorum, the exact number of people. If you have fewer in that chamber, then the magic number is fewer. So either on the Democratic side or the Republican side, if that changes over time, maybe McCarthy can get to the magic number. But it seems as the votes go on that there is a hunger for somebody else. But remember, too, McCarthy's ending up at each one of these votes at 203, and the other ones are at 20. So you're going to have a standoff here unless somebody negotiates. Now there's all kinds of names being thrown out there. Mike Pence as a possible solution. There's McHenry, Tom Cole, all of these other people. But Byron Donalds is now going to get the votes that Jim Jordan got yesterday, and we'll see how Donalds himself votes momentarily.
He actually just did. Our Capitol Hill producer reports that after he just voted for himself, he received a small standing ovation from the, quote, anti-McCarthy members standing near him.
So what do we, Emily, when you look at that, and that looks like, okay, someone who potentially has some support in the room, maybe even more than Jim Jordan, we don't know at this point. But could we actually see a position where others switch? I mean, people are still voting. I understand what Bret's saying. We're beyond the point now where McCarthy has won this on this fourth vote. That's not happening. That happened when the others category got to 5. I get that. But could it get worse for Kevin McCarthy if people say, oh, Byron Donalds, I kind of like him. I didn't realize, I didn't realize they were going to put some, some new second-term type choices up there.
I will say, I mean, I felt the electricity surge on this couch when we heard Chip Roy's nomination for Byron Donalds, and we said he's making history right now. So I actually volley that question to you, Jason. Is this going to be like the Bills-Oilers game in '93? Is this going to be the greatest comeback in history, where perhaps, to Harris's point, this actually is exactly the person that this faction of the GOP party that says, we do not want this status quo. We are not here for it. We are not here for McCarthy. And here's someone, finally, here's an alternative that could work, because Jim Jordan clearly wasn't that right candidate. So if you're a betting man, do you predict that this might actually be the different eye of the storm around which these 14 plus and then more than the 200 rally around?
I'm fairly certain that the strategy of the 20 are to show a series of people that they could vote for. I think also on that list is Kevin Hern, who is just unanimously elected to the Republican Study Committee. Not many people know him. He's a congressman out of Oklahoma, but they really like him. They also like Lee Zeldin, who the body is very familiar with. So you're going to continue to hear these names, and I think it plays well for the 20 to say, we're not here to perpetuate the status quo. We want a fresh start. That's what we told our voters we were going to do. And here are some names that we can get behind. And Byron Donalds is a very capable member that a lot of people respect, and I think would be a wonderful speaker.
So let's talk again about the former Vice President, Mike Pence, because that came up in the conversation. Bret, I know you will have to leave us in a few moments, so I'll go back to you if you're still with us.
Yep.
How does that play out? I mean, the politics of someone who, many of us have looked at on a potential list to run for president in 2024. What does this all mean for somebody like a Mike Pence?
Yeah, these are just names, Harris, that are being thrown out, and Mike Pence is probably not in the running as far as wanting to be Speaker of the House. All indications are he wants to run for president, but these are names that are being thrown out to be consolidating figures that could potentially get the votes and change the dynamic. I think that you have a situation here that is a stalemate, and you know, Jason's point, yes, the 20 are having a success in showing that there are alternatives to McCarthy. But eventually, you have to get to this is over, and they are moving on to the people's business, the American people's business. And with the negotiated deal that they made, that 5 people could stand up and say this speakership is not working, there has to be taking a yes at some point if you're going back to your constituents saying we're just doing this ad nauseum.
So, Jackie, you know, we talked about the economy a little bit. You said there's underlying factors that are separate from Wall Street today. Most people aren't looking at their televisions for the Wall Street number today. They're paying the bills. They're in cold places right now, like Buffalo, that's finally starting to thaw. They're thinking heat and eat, those types of issues. But they may be watching this, and they may be wondering, well, does that delay my ability to do what Republicans had promised we'd do?
Yeah, they may be.
As a
that's
voting
very
bloc.
possible. You know, but I think those issues are going to continue with us throughout this year, and that's why I do think we're bracing for
Regardless
a
of who
bumpy
would be in
time.
office.
Basically, because so much damage has been done already, that, you know, the ability to block spending is a wonderful thing, to not dig into the hole worse. But we're already in that hole, and getting out of it is going to be a little difficult. The Federal Reserve is trying to do that, but cannot do it alone. So, you know, I caution viewers to sort of brace for it, because I think oil prices could shift. I think a lot of different things could shift this year that people aren't expecting. I think people could lose their jobs as these rates continue to go up. And so, you know, this is very important, absolutely. But I'm not necessarily sure how much legislation is going to happen to actually be able to elicit change. I just want to make one more point. This is an interesting comparison, but when Elon Musk was making the bid to buy Twitter for the $44 billion, there's part of me that thinks that he just wanted to ignite the conversation. And then the whole, you know, period where he was trying to back out of it was because he didn't necessarily really want the company. He just wanted to get people talking about it and to bring the issues to the surface. And so, Jason, I'm wondering if part of this political theater, if we can call it that to some degree, isn't for these 20 to say, you know, listen, we're igniting that conversation. We're trying to come to the table and show our constituents and everybody else that we want change. And McCarthy, if we give in eventually and you get this, you better come closer to our side.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.